News Channel 8 presents New Skills for Living with your host, Tom Lavin, a healthy plan for healthy living.
Hello, I'm Tom Lavin. Welcome to New Skills for Living, a show dedicated to healing and wholeness in our community. If you've ever wondered about people with mental illness and how sometimes they get in trouble with the police or sometimes they end up in court or in jail or prison, you'll want to watch our show today as we have two local experts who have done a lot of work and helped a lot of people in the last many years. In the third and fourth segments, we're going to have Officer Patrick O'Brien, who is the coordinator of the crisis intervention team, talking with us about how Reno PD helps people with mental illness get help. However, in our first two segments, we have Sharon Dollarhide as our guest. Sharon is a licensed clinical social worker. She's also a licensed alcohol and drug counselor and is the coordinator of the mental health program here in Washoe County. Sharon, thank you so much for coming today.
Thanks for having me,
all right.
Tom.
So Sharon, can you describe to us a little bit about what Mental Health Court is all about?
Sure. Mental Health Court simply is a program for mentally ill adults who've committed a criminal offense. And we accept people who've committed misdemeanor, gross misdemeanor, and felony offenses, and they participate in post-conviction court supervision process. It's a voluntary program, and it lasts about 1 year. They are participating in this program to, our whole purpose and our whole goal is to divert them from the criminal justice system to the appropriate system where they need to get treatment.
Yeah. And Sharon, you and your staff have done such a great job. I know you have a national reputation for the work you've done, and maybe we can talk later about that, but
sure.
Maybe for right now, can you let us know, maybe give us one or two profiles, like a person who you do help through Mental Health Court. Can you tell us, like, what does that person look like? What is their life like before they come to Mental Health Court, or why they come to Mental Health Court?
Yeah. Typically, Tom, the person that we have coming to Mental Health Court is homeless. They're chronically, severely, and persistently mentally ill, and typically are not engaged in the mental health system. They have diagnoses of things like schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, bipolar disorder, major depressive disorder, but they are generally not hooked up with the mental health system, and they drift into homelessness. They are in and out of the hospitals. They interact frequently with the legal system and oftentimes get real petty criminal charges, things like trespassing or loitering and those kind of things. And it's apparent to our community law enforcement that these people don't really belong in the legal system. They really need treatment, someone to assist them to attain and maintain some quality of life.
Yeah.
So if they are charged with a criminal offense, they have the option to participate in this program. Oftentimes, what has happened in the past is they get a charge, maybe spend 10 days in jail, and then they're let out only to be picked up again, recycled through the jail system, put back out on the streets. And it's a chronic cycle that, quite frankly, doesn't benefit our clients.
Yeah. Yeah, you and your program, you've helped a lot of people, and you've also saved taxpayers a lot of money. I know that you and Roz Reynolds and Harold Cook and Sheila Leslie and Judge Breen have worked very hard to put this program together. But can you tell me, Sharon, why do we have this program here in Washoe County? What is the reason for this? What do you hope to accomplish?
Tom, what we're trying to do is take them out of the jail or divert them from the legal system and assist the community law enforcement officers to assist these clients to reconnect with the mental health system, which is a more appropriate system for them to receive assistance and treatment.
Yes.
So that's pretty much what we're doing.
And to my understanding, you have a really good success rate where you've really helped people stay out of prison and stay out of jail. Can you tell us about that, Sharon?
That's right. Our program started in 2001, and we have served over 650 people. We're real proud to say we have about an 11% recidivism rate, which is much less than the typical response that we might expect to the legal system in the past.
Yeah.
So we're real pleased. We're able to get people connected to the legal system, to get them into get them into the mental health system, get them into homes, get them on stable on medications, get them clean and sober, and living much better lives than when they first came into our program.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that you've really helped so many people. Now, Sharon, in this last minute, can you tell us a little bit about your staff?
Tom, we have 6.5 service coordinators. They each have a caseload of 25 clients. We have a smaller caseload so that we can give more intense services. And they are all interested in not only mental illness, but forensic population. So they are aware of how the legal system works and how to help our clients negotiate not only the mental health but the legal system.
So it sounds like your staff is really dedicated and they have a really strong place in their heart for people with mental illness, but then also a passion for helping people really have a life and stay out of jail and stay out of prison and have a life, huh, Sharon?
That's very true. They're very dedicated. They often stay late and come to work early when there are crisis situations.
Yeah. Well, that is some really good information, and when we return after this brief break, we're going to hear more about the mental health court and the really important difference they make in the lives of individuals and families in our community. Oh, and welcome back to New Skills for Living. We're talking with Sharon Dollarhide, who is the coordinator of the mental health court program. And Sharon, can you tell us a little bit about how many clients do you serve?
We currently have 189 clients in our court supervision program now. They don't all come to court. We hold our court sessions on Fridays, and generally, they're coming once a week, and as they stabilize, and then generally they're coming less often to court.
So with this, and that's a pretty large number of people that you're helping in our community at any given time. What are the services that you and the service coordinators provide?
We provide quite comprehensive services. Anything that's available at NAMS is available to our clients. Perhaps the biggest service that we provide is housing. We have housing slots for clients who are participating in the mental health court program. We get them off the streets. It's kind of the first thing that we'd like to do is, in order for them to get the treatment they need a place to live. So oftentimes we'll house them first, and then what we're doing is trying to stabilize their mental illness and their addiction. So generally the next thing that we do is we get them in to see the psychiatrist, to have medications prescribed, to get them into addictions treatment. About 85% of our clients have a co-occurring chemical addiction. So we're also getting them into addictions treatment, but they're also eligible for a whole array of services, including access to pharmacy to get medications, to get hooked up with benefits. Believe it or not, many are not on Social Security or on Medicaid for health insurance coverage. They don't have food stamps oftentimes, so we're trying to get them hooked up with those kind of services. We provide counseling if they need that. And again, our service coordinators provide an awful lot of support. We also, because they are involved in the court system, they're held accountable. And so they may have to drug test randomly with our court services officers. So that's part of their program as well.
Yeah, and I know you really encourage this ongoing sense of autonomy and independence in the clients' lives, and you also kind of help them with job coaching and vocational development. Can you tell us a little bit about that too, Sharon?
That's right. Actually, that we have a little bit of a process that we go through. Generally, what we're first trying to do is engage our clients in the mental health court process. Mm-hmm. Then we're trying to stabilize their condition. Then what we're doing is actively treating their issues, and then working on independence. We want them to be able to maintain what it is that we've started. So that often involves job skills training. We'll refer them to vocational rehab, support them in getting jobs. Oftentimes we'll reduce other court requirements so they can get a job and can work, and many of them do so.
Yes.
So that when their year participation time is up with us, they have income and can support themselves.
Yes, yes. Well, Sharon, we really appreciate the time that you've taken to come and share with us about mental health court. It's a wonderful program that's here in our community. Sharon, if someone, very briefly, if someone wanted to access, if they wanted to get into the mental health court program, how can they do that?
Generally, the way that happens, Tom, is when they become involved in the court system, when they go to their arraignment and are talking with their public attorney, if they can indicate to their public attorney, public defender, that they have or believe they might have a mental illness and would like to check into the program. That's generally, it's the public defender who's generally making the referral.
Okay, that's good to know, so that that's how people can get into the program. And again, Sharon, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
coming and sharing your expertise and your wisdom with us. And right after this brief break, Officer Patrick O'Brien from Reno Police Department will talk with us about the intervention team. We'll see you after this brief break. Hello and welcome back to New Skills for Living. Our next guest for the third and fourth segment is Officer Patrick O'Brien, and we want to welcome Officer O'Brien back to the show. He was on the show maybe 8 or 9 years ago providing some excellent community education, and this time we've asked Officer O'Brien, who is the coordinator of the intervention team, the CIT team, to come and talk with us about the work that he does in helping these people who have a mental illness. When the police need to intervene, quite frequently Officer O'Brien is called on. And so, Officer O'Brien, can you tell us, what is the CIT team?
Well, Tom, thank you for letting me be on your show. I think this is a great opportunity, and what you're doing here is really important.
Sure.
The crisis intervention team is a concept that came out of Memphis, Tennessee, and it came out of that area 1988. It's been around for a while, and it's been working its way across the United States since then. And what we try to do is we try to train our officers, we try to train law enforcement to better understand mental illness and then more effectively deal with it. Mm-hmm. I use the analogy that for first responders, for a medical emergency, of course we call for an ambulance as your first responding unit.
Yes.
We tend to be the first responder for a mental health crisis. Mm-hmm. And so without CIT training, we tend to be like an ambulance that doesn't know where to take the patient and has no idea how to do first aid. And so just in really simple terms, we try to teach our officers how to do that mental health first aid.
Yeah, yeah, which is so important, because it's a really delicate thing in many of these cases, and it's someone with a mental illness who might also be under the influence of alcohol and drugs acting out, and the police are called to intervene, and you need to make it safe for everybody. And so can you tell us a little bit, Officer O'Brien, what is a typical kind of person that you help out?
Well, I think think the word typical isn't going to fly.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, we're dealing with human beings.
Yeah.
We're dealing with individuals.
Yeah.
And so everybody's crisis is an individual crisis, and that's another mindset that we have to get out of. That we're going to be able to, you know, provide a happy meal and solve everything, because that's not it's not going to happen that
No
way.
happy meals. Okay.
No, every situation is going to be different. Every individual is going to present in a different way, and so and we have to train our officers to just kind of think that way and adapt that way. We might be dealing with somebody that's suicidal. They might have a plan. They might just be thinking about it. They might be really depressed and their family is worried about them. Maybe they're not suicidal, but we're going to intervene as soon as possible. We get people off of ledges. We get guns away from them. We get the people that cut their wrists, that take medications. I mean, unfortunately for us, we get those worst case scenarios. We would like to intervene a lot sooner. We would like to get opportunities to intervene sooner, of course. But that's kind of what we're handed in our role. And then we get other calls. We get calls related to people that are homeless. They've been homeless for a long time and they haven't had services, so they're ill, and they're on the streets, you know, yelling at cars, or they're just sleeping somewhere and don't appear to be taking care of themselves. And so we have those types of interventions too. It's really a wide range of things.
Yeah. You know, Officer, with the expertise that you've developed and the number of years that you've been doing this, in this last minute of this segment, I guess, can you tell me what is it that you like about doing this job so much?
I like being effective. And I think that as far as my career's gone, this has been one of the best opportunities to be really effective with people. And really, it's a win all the way around when we do something right. We still have challenges where we don't necessarily win. But when we do, you know, Sharon just talked about mental health court, and she's had some great successes there. And I think that, you know, when we win for the client, we win for the police department, we win for the community. And so, you know, there's no loss there. And they're not dealing with us for a long time, hopefully, or even ever again. And I think that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. So it's right after this brief break, we're going to talk with Officer O'Brien more about the intervention team and the work they do in our community. And you can tell by listening to Officer O'Brien the dedication and passion that he brings to this in making our community better, and then also touching the lives of individual people. We'll see you right after the break. Hello, welcome back to New Skills for Living. We're talking with Officer Patrick O'Brien, who is the coordinator of the CIT program here in Reno. One of the things I'd like to ask you is, it's not unusual that people will say that the mentally ill are being treated in our jails and our prisons. Can you respond to that? What is your perspective on that, officer?
Well, Tom, I think a few years ago, if you made that comment, I think I'd probably be defensive about it. And I think the law enforcement would probably be defensive about it. But I think we also have to be honest and say that that's the reality. If you ask me where the largest inpatient facility for mental health treatment is in our community, it's the Washoe County Jail.
Wow.
If you ask me where the largest treatment facilities in this country, and I've heard, you know, people vying for that role, I'm not sure what you get from that, but Rikers Island, New York, the Metro-Dade County jail system in Florida, and Los Angeles County jail system all vie for the dubious honor of being the largest inpatient facilities.
And so I guess that's one of the important things that you're doing in the lives of individual people, but then also for our community, is you're helping people get mental health help instead of ending up in jail or prison. Is that correct? Is that too simplistic, or?
I mean, it sounds so simple.
Yeah,
and I wish we could just do it right now.
Yeah.
You know, if Sheriff Mike Haley was here, he'd tell you, yeah, you know what we want to do? We want to put bad guys in jail. We want to put really dangerous people in jail and protect our community. Yeah. And unfortunately, he's in the job, you know, doing the job of treating people for mental illness. He's also doing the job of, he's a nursing home for the elderly. And we've got to get these individuals out of that setting and into treatment and into better environments. So Tom, you're right on. I mean, that's it. But trying to get there, wow.
It takes some patience and some courage, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you kind of the liaison between mental health and the police department? Have you what is the relationship like? I imagine it's changed in the last few years, hasn't it?
You know, I've got an interesting perspective on that. My mother is Dr. Gwen O'Brien,
Yes.
and so she had Roz Reynolds' position for a time back in the late 80s, or I'm sorry, late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
And back then, mental health approached law enforcement and tried to establish this relationship that we have going right here. And it only took 25 years or so, but yeah, that's where we are. I mean, we are talking. We are realizing that we're on the same team and that we have to work together. There's no choice.
Yeah. Well, you know, probably you would be in the best position, I would guess, to ask anybody this, but what do you see as the future of this coordinated work of the police department intervening and helping people that have mental health and helping steer them? Well, I don't want to. What do you think the future of this is, Patrick?
Well, I think that you know, it's got an amazing learning curve to it. It's providing the community really a lot of new insights. It's providing us the ability to learn. It's also providing the ability for the community to see into the role that we have. We're becoming more open about what we do, and I think that people are getting information. We're also more willing to sit and say, hey, we need help. Mm-hmm. We need more training. We need more resources. The community needs to provide more services. And so we've engaged in an advocacy role. We will advocate for the individual in crisis, but we also advocate for those services in the community. And so it really has become just I don't know how to describe it. You know, it's kind of a new realm for us. You describe it as, you know, it's community problem solving, and the police department's always tried to engage in that. And so, you know, in the most pure sense, that's all we're doing is community problem solving. It benefits everybody.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Officer O'Brien, for coming and sharing with us today. We'll have to have Officer O'Brien back again, as well as Sharon Dollarhide, to talk about the great work they're doing in our community. We're very lucky to have such passionate and dedicated people in our community. We want to ask you to join us next month, where this series, The Faces of Mental Health, will continue. And we'll continue to take a look at how in helping people have better lives, we're also helping our community be a better place to live. And again, Officer O'Brien, thank you so much. And we also want to thank Sharon Dollarhide. We'll see you next month.